Hello, this is a Bechstein Model B grand piano made in 1907, just come into stock. We have done a little bit of work on it already. I'm just assessing it to try to decide on certain items of work that might need doing. So first of all, looking at the keys, they are perfect ivory, which is very encouraging, and none of them have ever come off and been stuck back on, so there's no sort of strong lines in the middle that you get when they have done that. And the casework, this is original casework and surprisingly good condition. So I was very encouraged when I found this piano, because it's unusual to find a piano of this age to have such good casework. And our polisher's been tidying it up a little bit, but basically it's very good. Just one or two small defects which I'll point out. The sides and the legs are practically perfect. By the way, looking at the pedals, you can see that the piano hasn't had an excessive amount of wear. You can tell that by the right hand pedal, because normally if the piano's been used a lot, the right hand pedal is on Bechsteins very often you can see it actually worn at the edges, but this is just slightly brighter but not worn. And by the way, as we've mentioned in other videos, Bechstein pedals are really low down, which is very encouraging, because you can put caster cups under, raise it by an inch. So if you do need more legroom, this has normal legroom, but if you need more legroom, you can obtain that. And the sides of the piano are extremely good condition too. If you look at the top, you'll see the typical Bechstein slight crazing that it gets here, but that's not going to pull off, and I think we can guarantee the piano certainly for 5 years, 10 years really, that won't happen. And there are some slight blemishes on the top here. Sorry, it's rather reflective, this black, as you can see. Well, it's in very good condition, that's why. It's not polyester, but original French polish. There's a couple of defects here, there and there. So cosmetically, obviously if we were going to fully restore it, then we would redo the whole casework, probably in bright black, because that French polish black's very, very difficult to do. This is a bright black Blüthner grand piano that we've restored and done bright black, and there's a Bosendorfer next to it. Those reflections are, not sure what that is on there, but that's actually dust or something, because it's not any problem on the piano. Now, one very important factor when we're trying to decide what to do, whether we can just recondition or need to fully restore, is whether the tuning pins are tight. And as mentioned many times before, this is really crucial. If you have central heating, then all pianos need looking after you to make sure, with underfloor heating particularly, that you don't dry the piano out. So as long as you're careful, that won't be any problem whatsoever. If you look here, this is something I want to point out. Bechstein B 1907 can suffer from a cracked frame just there. If you look at Google, Bechstein grand cracked frame, especially the Model A tends to crack more than the B, but the Model B too. And then that's a sign, if that is cracked there, which it isn't, you can't see a frame crack. If you look at the images of frame cracks, you'll see what I mean, and they're always just here. And it's a stress fracture that doesn't really matter actually in terms of affecting the piano. I think if you're a technician, you can comment on that. But if you restring it, and when we would fully restore it normally if it's got a cracked frame, because it's visually very worrying, obviously, but in fact doesn't really have any effect, which is encouraging. But we would fully restore those, and there's plenty of videos about fully restored Bechsteins. So this one, I'm increasingly thinking that we won't have to fully restore it. The soundboard is in perfect condition. If you look along there, you can see there always seems to be one across there where the planks have slightly opened up, but that's no problem for the tone of the piano. And again, we can guarantee this for a long period without any problem. And the felts here, there's no moth at all. So assessing it generally, the frame is in very good condition. So generally, all the signs are encouraging. As regards to tone, it's got the typical Bechstein tone, which is so delightful and so many people really appreciate. One of the best tone grands, and Bechstein B is such a well-made piano. It's 2 meters long, by the way, and that's very warm sounding. Around here it's slightly plain sounding, and so this hammer I've refaced, as we'll see in a second, and that one isn't refaced, this one is. Listen to the difference. It brings out all the harmonics and it hits cleanly on the strings. So looking at the action, the hammers are original, relatively worn. Not incredibly one, as we mentioned about the pedal, but they are indented and consequently they're not sounding clean. And that one's been refaced, and now that does have it's basically bringing out the harmonics, because if there's too much hammer hitting the string, then it sounds deader than when it's refaced, and then it's slightly cleaner sound, not necessarily brighter but cleaner. So as the piano is getting having had some wear, we notice that the hinges here, these hinges are slightly loose. So as we mentioned on many other videos, when we recondition a piano or fully restore it, we change the hammer, the shank and the roller under here. So that roller too is getting a bit flat. But in fact the feel of the piano is still excellent. It's so well made, the Bechsteins, they do last for such a long time. And although the roller's a bit flat, it does feel quite smooth. So that's not essential to do. If we're doing hammers, refacing the hammers, then we would replace the shanks and the rollers, this is the roller, by the way, this thing here that we talked about. And the hammer height is quite good actually on this. Someone must have regulated it. So the regulation's quite good on the piano in general. I think it's mainly refacing hammers, and we'll have to replace hinges that are loose here rather than replace the whole thing, or we could replace the whole thing, but I'm inclined to keep it as it is and make a less expensive piano, and still, to my mind, a tremendously rich sounding piano. Now, a very important factor is the key weighting for the touch. If you want a serious musician and want to develop your fingers, then this is going to be too light. That's a 50 gram weight. I'm going to have to take some off to see what it actually is. Now that's 40 grams, which is 10 grams lighter than the average weight. And let's try 40 grams. And it's almost exactly 40 grams. So, in fact, perhaps very slightly heavier. That's 42 grams, not quite going down, but this D goes down at 42 grams and the C sharp does as well. So it's not quite even. We'd like to even it off a bit. That's I mentioned about the centre pins needing changing, so that would make a change to the weighting. So obviously if we put hammer shanks and rollers on, it all ends up at 50 grams. If you want a light action, then, and a lot of people do want light action, including pianists, and their domestic piano is often quite a light action because it's nice, very fluid to play, but it's too light for learning on this action, and you'd have to put new hammer shanks and rollers to get the weighting to what you wanted. So here's the Bösendorf with new hammer shanks and rollers and being weighted as well, key weighted, adjusted finely. So that's exactly, this is 50 grams, which is normal for a pianist. So as I say, if you're a pianist, you need this kind of weight, and most new pianos are, if anything, this weight, or some of them can be slightly heavier. I don't personally like it much heavier than 50, but some people want a heavy piano, so we can do that too. We can re-weight the piano if necessary. So that's assessment of a Bechstein Model B. That's 2 meters long, 6'6.5" and just come into stock, trying to assess what sort of work needs doing. We have already done some, and I hope I've shown in the video. The decision is difficult to make because we could fully restore it like we do so many, and I've made so many videos of those. But this one is in very, very good condition. It has been used, so it needs refacing. Now the main thing is that it's quite a light action. So if you want a fluid and light action so it's easy to play in, or you're an occasional player, you might prefer that. And the tone rounds here, it needs refacing, but that's something we can easily do. We also need to make sure all the hinges are tight and even. But the tone of Bechstein's is so wonderful. And at the moment it's very fluid to play, and as I say, very light. That will still be fluid, but it'll be heavier if we do hammer shanks and rollers. So there's an opportunity, if you'd like a light action piano, sounding as beautiful as any Bechstein should do, then this is going to cost less as well than a fully restored piano. The keys are in such perfect condition, and the case is very, very good condition. Such an even tone. There's a 5-year guarantee on the piano, by the way, and don't expect it to go wrong at all. You have to look after a piano by keeping the heating not too high and the humidity not too low. Thank you very much for listening.